Yes, welcome to the Biz Communication Show. I'm your host, Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guy, every week bringing you an outstanding business communication professional. And this week, I'm very fortunate. I've scored big again, bringing you Wendy Keller. A few words about Wendy. Wendy Keller helps people turn their best ideas into published books and well-paid speaking careers. She calls herself the Chief Talent Launcher at Keller Media, a company she founded in 1989. Hey, folks, that's 30 years ago. To date, Keller Media has sold more than 1,700 books and other rights, including 18 New York Times bestsellers and 9 international bestsellers. Wendy has personally trained and consulted about 8,500 emerging professional speakers and more than 25,000 authors worldwide. Her specialty is content that will improve the lives of others, specifically business, self-help, and science. She has sold book rights to every major U.S. publisher, including Penguin Random House, HarperCollins, Simon & Schuster, Hachette, Macmillan, and McGraw-Hill. She's also the author of 31 traditionally published books. You know, I tell her, you've written more books than most of us have read. 31 published books, including her newest release, The Ultimate Guide to Platform Building, which I love and which I have reviewed. That's a book that teaches people how to build a platform that will help you to sell more books, grow your business, sell more products or services, and increase the impact you make in the world. So I know by now you are eager to hear from Wendy Keller. Hello, Wendy.
Hello, Bill. Thanks for having me on.
All the way from Malibu, California to Atlanta, Georgia area. Welcome to host you today. And reading your background, I noticed that you discovered your talent as a writer quite early in life. Tell us about that.
Well, thank you for that question. Yes, I did. I was in, believe it or not, I was in 4th grade, and I was in the school's library, and there was this turnstile of books that had won the Newbery or Caldecott Awards, both significant major U.S. awards for children's books. And I was standing there and I thought, that's what I'll do when I grow up. And that was my decision, and that was the end of it. That's what I did. From that moment forward, I was clear.
Child prodigy.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
Okay, and then before you became a well-known literary agent, you absolutely spent some time in journalism. What was that? What were the highlights?
Great preparation for it. I think the most important thing that is relevant to this discussion today is that when I was fortunate to go to college when I was 16, and I started studying journalism. And when I started there, I was in a little town called Prescott, Arizona, called Prescott by the locals. And I got a job at the Prescott Courier, and I was the first intern they'd ever had. And I got assigned to this gruff, tough, 27-year-old journalist named Joel Millman from New York. And he was just everything I wanted to grow up to be as far as a journalist is. And I was so excited, and I wrote my first story. It was about 300 words. It took me 11 hours to write this story. And I submitted it to Joel, and he looked at it on the screen, and he looked at it, and he scrolled down, and he turned to me, and he hit the delete button, and he said, nobody gives a what you want to write. They only care about what interests them. And in that moment, my entire writing career was shaped, because I realized it's not about me shoving my ideas down the public's throat. A lot of writers who come to me are trying to do that. It's about what does the world want from you, and how can you put it in the best package possible so they can take it in. That's the goal of every writer. I learned that at 16, and I've taught that now all my life.
I know that you train speakers.
Yeah.
I was a member of National Speakers Association for quite a while.
Yes.
And that's exactly the same message I would imagine that you give to speakers. One of the first things I heard in the way of advice when I went to National Speakers Association was, it's not about you.
Oh, so true. So true. And I've told all my speakers that also. I've been an NSA member since 1995. And the thing that I see for the difference between the ones who succeed, as you certainly know, And the ones who fail is, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to tell them my life story and how they can overcome adversity, when they've never trained anybody. They don't have anyone except themselves as a success story. Or someone's going to write a business book and they're going to go out and they're going to train people to be salespeople, and their entire experience is working at the local automotive dealership where they did really well, but it doesn't apply to all salespeople in general. So the more aware, the more the writers and speakers get out of their ivory tower, the more valuable their content becomes to the world as a whole.
I love that. And I know some who never left their ivory tower.
So sad and true.
Okay, let's think about this, because it's your specialty. There are so many business people across the world who think, there's a book in me and people are just waiting for that book. After all, Lee Iacocca wrote books and Jack Welch wrote books, and I've been successful in business, so I guess I'll write a book. One of the comments I shared with another multiple author, Diana Boer. I'm sure you know Diana.
She's lovely. She's lovely.
She's just published her 48th book, so you have to catch up a little bit.
I'm a slug. What can I say?
But one of the comments I heard with her, someone was overheard at a cocktail party say, I'm writing a book. Yes, I've numbered all the pages. So let's just say I'm a business person.
Yes.
And I feel that I've got good experience and I've learned a lot from business. I want to share it with other people. And so I guess, Wendy, the very best thing for me to do is to contact one of the big publishing houses, and in a couple of weeks, they'll give me a contract, and within 3 or 4 months, I'll be on national television. Is that the way it goes?
Oh, every time. No, it's not. But no, because the publishing houses have legal requirements. They can't take things on without a literary agent attached, which is what I do. And the literary agents screen the content and then deliver it. But many of the people who come to me, because my agency specializes in business, science, and self-help, as you said, many of the people who come to me want to get published. And my first question to them is why? What's your goal? Is it to build your business? Is it to build your brand? Is it to establish your career or your specialty or your knowledge base so that you can move to a better job? Is it because you want to sell more of your products or services? What's your actual goal? And then we work backwards from that goal. No matter how big the client is, they could have a plan to become a bestseller so that it increases their speaking, or they could just plan to sell copies so that they get more clients or get paid speaking fees to go up or whatever it is. So we work backwards from that goal. So the first question for a business person who wants to do a book really is, what do you expect the book to do for you? In the years I've been an agent, that has changed enormously what a book can do for you. So you need to start with the end in mind, like so many other things, and then work backwards. There's a different strategy for building the book. For instance, if you want to become a speaker or a better paid speaker, then the strategy that I would recommend if someone wants to sell more of their products. There are ways to fit this. Now, if you just want to share how brilliant you are and your incredible credentials, you better have an international name or at least a national name, or have worked for a national company. If you came to me and you said, I started my business and I've made $10 million in my life now, I'm ready to write a book. Unless you have something else going on, nobody really cares. There's a lot of people who have done what you've done, whether you believe that or not. On the other hand, if you came and you said, I want to become a consultant to new businesses, then there's a strategy. Then there's something to work with, because selling that book will be an entree into those opportunities in your future. And you will write the book from the perspective of bringing in more consulting clients and more speeches. I think that makes sense.
One of the best articles I've read in a long time is one that you just posted on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
Where I thought it was very hard-hitting. It was frank. It is, I guess, that long ago sportscaster Howard Cosell would say you were telling it like it is. And what I think you were trying to do in there was to very candidly and yet very kindly debunk some of the notions people have about how you do become an instant success if you just have a fairly moderate idea and you passed 8th grade English,
It's so true that people are often misguided, and I feel sorry for them for wasting their time. The industry has shifted in the years I've been in it frankly, the industry shifts about every 6 months as far as the content they're acquiring and the perspective of that content. But the reality is that if an individual wants to pursue an agent, which is the only way to get to a major publisher unless you're already world famous, and they come to you, which probably isn't going to happen in most people's cases, is to have a good idea, the credentials to carry it forward, and also a platform. And a platform, which of course is the content of my own last book. And I teach classes and I consult people on platform and all that stuff, because a platform needs to be customized to the individual's own talents and goals and the time available, et cetera. But it also needs to be something that the audience is responding to. People very often will come to me and go, I've been blogging for 6 years and I have 91 people on my email list. Well, if you have 91 people, something's wrong after 6 years. Or
And we could have that many relatives.
you can have that. My dog has that many dogs he likes at the park. I mean, come on. So there needs to be some sort of response from the public. And if you're not getting it, it's usually a matter of just twisting the dial a little bit to find out what's really in alignment, both your content and your chosen delivery mechanisms, whatever those happen to be. And then you start to get feedback. The publisher can supersize your success, but they can't start you out of whole cloth. And people go, well, then you guys are a bunch of idiots. I'm just going to go and self-publish. Well, unfortunately, more than 1 million books are self-published every year. According to our industry, the average self-published book sells 117 copies total. That's probably a generous estimate. The reality that I see is people come to me with long stories after they self-publish, long stories about why it didn't succeed. It's someone else's fault. The market didn't this, the publisher didn't that, whatever. And they haven't got a platform to start with. You need a platform, whether you're going to self-publish, whether you're going to pursue an agent and I'm going to sell you to HarperCollins, or whether you're writing some little spiritual book that you just really want to find a third-party publisher for, that you don't have to pay for the privilege of writing, of printing your book. You still need a platform. In all of those cases, a platform could be one of many things, but you need to have some proof that there's someone besides you and your 2 best friends who thinks you're a genius.
Well, one of the things that's most important that I got from your book and also from that terrific article is that a publisher is not going to do all the promoting. They want someone who has, you call it a platform, we can call it an audience, we can call it followers, fans,
all that,
subscribers, whatever. But I know there are many people who publish a book and they'll say, well, gosh, the first few weeks the publisher did something, the publisher didn't do much after that. Well, guess what? They've got other authors they're dealing with.
Yes, and it is very much like a turtle race, if anyone's ever seen a turtle race. I saw a video of it. I haven't seen one in real life, but this is the same model. The publishers set down 20, 30, 60 books in the same time period. So maybe that month they're publishing, let's say, if it's a big house, maybe they're publishing 30 books that year, that season. They're going to start them all, like imagine a group of turtles, right? They're going to start them all, boom, at the same moment. And turtles kind of wander around, kind of like authors do, not really clear on the goal. They're kind of lost. They're over here. Maybe I'll be a speaker. Maybe I'll build my social media platform. They go around in circles because they don't have agents who focus on marketing, or they didn't focus on marketing before they got started, right? Some of us focus on marketing. I do. Other agents do. But many just think their job is just to sell the book. So now you've got a publisher. You're done. The agent's moved on in some cases. So the turtles are just kind of walking around, and eventually one gets to the target and wins the race. Well, the publishers are watching. Who comes out of the gate and goes straight for that target? Who's got the energy? Who's got some speaking engagements lined up that they're buying the book in? Or who's doing workshops? Or who's got a social media following? Or who's doing blog posts? Who's making movement? And as soon as the publisher sees the numbers start to tick on your book, now they're going to donate some resources to you. And the more your book ticks up the sales scale where they're making money, the more resources they're going to put with you. I have clients and I tell them this till I'm blue in the face. You must have this marketing plan before, during, and after your book is published. And it needs to continue for at least 120 days after. So we can all see whether or not the public is responding. Because if the public is responding, now the publisher is motivated to help you. Before that, you're just another turtle.
That's interesting. Many people would think it's the opposite sequence. So I'm very glad that you clarified that. While we're being realistic, which definitely you are, and I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Although you're not taking away people's dreams, you're just telling them a way to do it. But while while we're being realistic, what percentage of aspiring authors are going to wind up in print?
Aspiring authors who have a good idea and some credentials on their subject and who are willing to take the time to build a platform or are currently so doing probably have a 90% chance of getting a publisher. Everybody else, I'd say you're lucky to get 0.5, and that's going to be a fluke. You know, that's the reality. Most of the people who send me stuff send me garbage, and that's true for every agent. It was the agents when I first started as an agent, they said, oh, most of the stuff you'll see will be garbage. And I thought, that can't be true. There's so many smart people out there. They're going to do a really good job. And now after 30 years and literally tens of thousands of projects rejected, now I can tell you over and over and over and over and over that there are 4 basic mistakes that authors make over and over that cause them to not get published. And that's
What are those?
the first one is they haven't tested their content against a live audience in any form or format. They don't even have a Facebook public figure page. They haven't given a single lecture. They haven't tried it at a workshop. They haven't even spoken at the Kiwanis Club for free. Or they haven't tried any way to find out if anybody else is interested in their topic. So not having a platform, and not having a response is number one. Number 2 is writing something everybody else has already written and not having anything new, different, better, or more to say. The idea sucks. If I've seen it 50 times, I don't want to see it again. I'm going to reject it the second it comes across.
Hey, you don't want an echo. You want a new voice. You don't want an echo.
I coined the acronym NDBM, which stands for new, different, better, or more. That's mine. I started that as a young agent, and now I know some other agents use it too because it's a shorthand for what you have to have if you're going to come to the market and expect to squeeze into that shelf space, as we call it. So that means get yourself the right to be published, because we know from industry research that people who own one book will own 17 books on average in the same content. They're fat and they own 17 diet books. They're broke and they own 17 get rich quick or save your credit books. It's just how it works. That's R.R. Bowker. You can check it out yourself on Google. But the point is that if you don't have that new, different, better, more, then you're not really going to be interesting to anybody who's seen all the other books or many of the other books that have been published. The next thing is to come in and not have a platform, right? To come in and not have a platform of any type of ongoing response from people. It's one thing if you interviewed 50 people a year ago, but now you're not still doing anything. You don't have a platform, you're not going to get a book. That's why I wrote my book on platform building. And then the fourth thing is to come in and go, listen, you witch, you don't understand this business. My book is going to be a New York Times bestseller within 1 month of publication. The minute you say that to an agent, you're toast, because we've heard that a billion times and it's rarely true.
So you're even getting threatened, do you?
I have been threatened. I've also been sent bribes. I've been sent chocolate. I got to tell you my best story, Bill. Many, many years ago, before the internet, I was an agent, and a man who was on a ship in China, I'd forgotten this story, a man who was stationed on a ship somewhere in China or Japan or something, wanted me to represent his book. So he sent me the manuscript, and I wrote him back because he didn't have a phone, of course. He was on a ship and there was no internet. I wrote him back and said, I've asked, I had some questions. Here are the questions. And he wrote it back and he sent me lingerie with the package. He'd never seen me. I'd never seen him. He sent me size XXL. That was an instant no. For men who don't know, that was really, I was very unhappy. I declined that book for that reason. But people have done all kinds of weird things. They've asked my assistant out on a date numerous times, trying to get to me. It's like, really, it's not going to make me represent you if you don't have good work, good credentials, and good platform and a good idea.
It's what's down on that page that really
Heck
counts.
Yeah. Heck
yes. Yeah. Wendy, this is so remarkable. It's fascinating. And for all of us who have a book in mind, I encourage everyone to connect with you on LinkedIn. And by the way, please now tell us your contact information and then I'll share mine.
Great. KellerMedia.com. We have all kinds of free resources for new authors. If you go to KellerMedia.com/query, QUERY, you can send a query to the agency and my staff will handle you respectfully. And you can also find me on LinkedIn just by typing in Keller Media or Wendy Keller. I have a Facebook public figure page. You could join me there as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I know that people will want to contact you. You're definitely one of the, I guess, the queens of the industry by now. 31 years.
Thank you.
And now that Wendy has given her contact information, I'm happy to share mine as well. Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guy. So logically, it's B-I-Z, my website, B-I-Z, bizcommunicationguy.com. I invite you to visit my website, look at how I serve corporations and leaders. Contact me and I'll be happy to discuss your communication challenges and how I can help you with them. Wendy, any closing thoughts?
I just want to say that there is a path to publication if you really want it. You might have to make some tweaks, but it's right there in front of you. It's a straight and narrow path. You get on it, you'll succeed. You continue to walk round and round reinventing the wheel, you're going to have a rough time. We want good work. Good work gets published. Make good work and you'll get published.
Nice to close with that encouraging word. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you who joined us on the video and audio portions of the Biz Communication Show. Thanks again to Wendy Keller, Malibu, California, a wonderful literary agent and one of the most knowledgeable people that you will come across concerning publishing. Look forward to being with you next week. I'm Bill Lampton, the Biz Communication Guy.